next guest, Will Cain, Fox and Friends Weekend co-host, and we can bring him up here in focus. I can't tell you that to stop all mass shootings would take more than this one bill. It would take actually applying the laws that we already have on the books. And I don't know where the President of the United States was going with Adam Lanza's mom in Sandy Hook. I covered that for this network that day, and what we found out is that she purchased those weapons. And he made it sound like they were just lying around the house. The kid turned around and shot the computer to pieces so there'd be no trail of what had happened, purchases online or any sort of searches online. It made investigating that case very, very difficult. And of course, we know he shot his mom. Will Cain, your top thoughts.
Harris, you're absolutely right. You would be telling us the truth when you tell us it's a complicated cocktail of contributing factors that lead to these tragic mass shootings. And the President of the United States hand-waving at the end, the very end, and I'm not going to get into that, I don't have time, to discuss the mental health component that leads to an epidemic of young men, lost souls without meaning or purpose, turning to the most evil and vile thing they can imagine to take out their anger on society is much more complicated than a red flag law. And now, to the Republicans, the ones that President Biden just said he hopes they don't pay with their jobs. They should pay with their jobs. The argument from anyone who is an opponent of gun control is all of this is an incremental march towards the confiscation of guns. It's not actually about solving the problem. Now, President Biden gave every gun control opponent the ammunition and the validation that they needed when he said, I'm just getting started. I want to ban assault weapons. I want to ban, quote unquote, high-capacity magazines. He made it clear. This wasn't an attempt to solve the problem, Harris. This was a march along an ideological goal to get rid of guns. And those Republicans participated in that. Not a solution to a very complicated problem. And President Biden's hand wave at the mental health component of this shows it wasn't a sincere effort to solve the problem, but rather the first step or the next step in a long march towards the ideological goal of basically confiscating and controlling the United States gun, Second Amendment guaranteed right to gun ownership. I think that was made very clear over the past 15 minutes.
And I'm writing down some of what you said. I want to bring this in. The Bipartisan Safer Community Act includes a number of provisions outside of Medicaid and the programs to benefit poorer income children, including $500 million to the school-based mental health services grant program to increase the number of qualified mental health service providers, so on and so forth. It is the point of contact that we know of in Uvalde and the point of contact in Highland Park, Illinois, that started very long ago with both of those young men. Those points of contact when they were children that are being missed. I mean, when you look at the history of this latest killer in the mass shooting, things were missed or ignored or poorly handled all along. What about the 62-year-old man who shot up the Brooklyn subway train just a couple of months ago? You know, and he said, they didn't help me. I had mental health problems and the system let me down. Do you remember when he said that? There's so many things that are already in play that we aren't doing. And this, it feels like, Will, that we're looking for that shiny object to absolve us of all the things that we could have, should have, would have done.
Harris, listen, I know that people who disagree with me on my position on the Second Amendment will think that I'm playing a shell game and trying to distract. But if you're truly concerned about this issue, and I will count myself as a person, obviously, as I think all Americans truly are.
We all are.
And you don't paint your opponent as someone who doesn't care about the loss of children, unless you're being a dishonest actor in this debate. So as someone who is concerned about this issue, if we really want to focus on a solution, those points of contact that you bring up start so early. It's a breakdown in families, Harris. It's a breakdown in men understanding their role and value and meaning in society, and then it metastasizing into their teenage years of this feeling, I assume, of impotency and loss, and then they want to do something vile. And there's a reason they go with school shootings often. It's because it's the most vile thing that they can conceive of. They've been lost, I think, and this may be unpopular, they've been lost to first-person shooter games. They're simulating this act through much of childhood, and that doesn't mean that everybody that plays video games ends up this way. But if we really want to look at the contributing factors of what creates not the tool, but the actor in these horrible acts, then we're interested in solving this problem.
Yeah. I would love to cover one of those roundtables with everybody present to talk about this issue. You know, you got to have the parents there. You need the social workers. Like my mom was one for decades. You need everybody who were there at those points of contact to describe and explain how we got here and what was missed. That's such a part of the conversation that when we just reflexively go to the politics of guns, we don't get to, well, and we thought the administration was really hooked on root causes. Maybe not.
Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch our nightly opens, stories that are changing the world and changing your life. From Tucker Carlson tonight.